Hey guys, let's talk today about the Lumintop SD Mini. Now these small pocketable 18650 powered lights that are really strong and also just very small and compact are really super popular right now, so I wanted to get this review out and talk a little bit about this light and why it's special. Now if it looks familiar to you, it's because we've seen this design before. This is a pretty well loved design, and in fact not only does the SD Mini take this design, but the Night Newman NE01 is pretty much almost identical, as well as the Night Core MH20, which I don't own that one to compare it, but did want to point that out. But they are. It's a very popular because of the ergonomics. It's small, fits in the pocket, but also is bright enough to really do some serious work. So let's get into the numbers first. And what this one has is comes in two different applications. One being the xpl-hi LED, and the other being the XML2 U2 LED. Now, the difference between them, the xpl-hi is going to have a little better throw. It's going to have a tighter beam, and it's probably going to be a little bit brighter in appearance. The XML2 is going to be a little bit floodier, but you might get a few more lumens out of it. But it might fool you because that xpl-hi does have that really tight, center hot spot, so it might be a little unusual for you. You have 7 modes, 4 of which are regular modes, which you have a 36 lumen that goes for 36 hours, 276 lumens for 5.5 hours, 425 lumens for 3, and 920 lumens for 2 hours. It also has a strobe SOS and an aviation signal. It is claims a maximum beam distance of 300 meters. Let's see. Working voltage 2.8 to 8.4 volts, so you can use one 18650 or 2 CR123 batteries. It is waterproof. I'm not sure, waterproof, water resistant. Which one is it? IPX8 waterproof standard. Impact resistant 1.5 meters. It has a USB charging port, which we will show you. It also has a double coated anti-reflective lens, which that's cool because if you accidentally flip the lens around while you're taking it apart or cleaning it, you don't have to worry about that being an issue because it's coated on both sides. What else? Type 3 anodizing. Wow, that was tough to get out. And it has advanced temperature control or temperature regulation, which basically keeps this thing from frying itself to death. These little lights get very hot very quickly, so especially at 900 lumens, so it is good to have. It has dual springs inside, so you can use both protected and unprotected batteries, which is awesome. The Night Newman does not allow you to do that. You cannot use the unprotected batteries in this. They have to be the button top protected. So this thing charges at 1 amp via this USB charging port, which is covered with a rubber gasket. Has very good knurling on it. I really like the design and the styling of it. Plus it's very grippy. The pocket clip is really good quality. You can hear it. It's really solid. Flat base, so it will tail stand if you're not on a... But it will tail stand for you. Has very good, very deep cooling fins built into it, which what that does is it increases the surface area of the flashlight so that heat can dissipate a little more quickly. Now the head is glued onto the body, so you cannot remove that. It's controlled via a single switch on the side here, which is pretty easy to find. Even though it's flush, it's very easy when you're feeling around to feel it because of the rubber boot. So if you are grabbing in the dark, I can find that very quickly. So did want to point that out. Plus you can always line up the belt clip with it so you know where it is. Smooth reflector, as I mentioned, xpl-hi. Really good attention to detail when it comes to the build. Now let's talk about user interface. Now how this works is simple side press turns this thing on. You can cycle through your 4 brightness modes. Very simple, very easy. And to shut off, long press and it shuts it off. Now to get into the strobe disco modes, in case you're having a dance party or anything like that, from the off position, you just hold the light on, or I'm sorry, hold the button down, that will give you strobe. One more press will give you the SOS. And the last mode is the aviation beacon, which is a really just sporadic little flash. And once again, long hold shuts it completely off again. So very simple user interface, and also very good because you don't access the strobe without going to it. So you don't have to cycle to the strobe to turn the light on or off. I find that very important in an EDC light. I do not want to have to cycle through a strobe. If I'm sitting in my car for work and I don't want to be noticed, the last thing I want is a flashlight that I have to go through strobe to get to. You don't have to touch strobe, but it's also there. If someone comes up to my window and is, acting crazy while I'm sitting there, I can strobe this thing without having to cycle through modes as well. So we have quick access to strobe, and we also have the good solid 4 different brightness modes that have a pretty good spacing in between them. Pocket carry, this thing's terrific. I didn't have any issues with it turning on in my pocket, which is good. I thought I would because that button is a little out there, but it didn't happen to me. Not to say it couldn't happen, but it didn't in my testing. And overall, I think this is a great light for the money. But here's the thing. What do we got to talk about? The big elephant in the room. We have a $60 light and a $20 light. So the question you're going to ask me, Bushcraft 412, why should I buy the Lumintop over the Night Lumen? And I'll give you a very simple answer to that. Well, it's never simple, I lie. Number one, I got pretty much closer to 20 minutes more runtime out of the Lumintop using the same type of battery, the NCR 18650B. I ended up getting pretty much 2 hours out of this thing, and the battery was at 2.8 volts. It still had a little juice left, so I could have run it further. This guy here only runs about 80 minutes, so that's an hour and 20 minutes. You're getting 40 plus minutes of longer runtime, plus this fades a lot quicker. This loses a lot of light over the course of its runtime. This stays pretty strong throughout its runtime. Charging. One of the complaints you'll see about the Night Lumen on the forums is that it can overcharge batteries. That's a concern. If you overcharge batteries, leave it in there, go to turn it on, you could have a kaboom problem, and nobody wants that. So once again, in this world, like with anything else, you get what you pay for. Now, does mine overcharge? No. But are there examples on the internet of them overcharging? Absolutely, and it's something you need to be aware about. It's always a danger of buying an inexpensive flashlight, is that you're going to get something that can possibly be an issue. I've charged and charged and charged with this pretty much since I've had it. I've either been playing with it, charging it, or leaving it charged. I left this thing overnight. No problems with it overcharging. You'll have a green blinking light when it is charging. When it's finished charging, it will go to a solid green light. It does seem to terminate at around 4.18 volts, which is a little bit undercharged, but as I've said in the past, I'd rather undercharge than overcharge. Overcharging can really be an issue. This thing has a really nice beam, really nice throw to it. You can easily see over 100 yards, versus the Night Lumen has a lot more of a floody beam that's spread out. And I believe this Night Lumen has the XML2. So if you were to have this Night Lumen and xpl-hi, they'd probably have a very similar beam, but it doesn't. So you do get a pretty big difference in that. If you do want something that can throw further, obviously you're going to want the Lumintop. So I guess if 20 bucks is all you can afford, sure, the Night Lumen is a great example of a good pocketable EDC light, but when it comes down to it, if you're really counting on this light to save your life, if you're a police officer, security guard, something like that, where you need a light to work, I definitely would say spend the extra money. It definitely appears that the build quality, the quality of the regulation, and the quality of everything is just better in the Lumintop. It just seems to go. Just even from being able to, these are exactly the same size. the fact that you can't use the unprotected batteries, you know, is kind of silly. You know, you should be able to use it. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, every light you should have that option. It's up to the person to decide, but hey, we're getting off track here. So overall, this Lumintop, I like it a lot. It's, you know, I've carried the Night Lumen. I really like the design. I really like this form factor, the small pocket size 18650 with the bigger head for better throw. It's really popular right now for a reason, guys. They're powerful, they're strong, they do a lot. I mean, these are a great light for police officers, security guys. You know, even maybe if you're doing a little light search and rescue work, firemen, something where you need a good, powerful light, this may be something for you that you can put, or even just carry as a backup. You know, it's small enough to keep in your car, keep in your glove box. It's got the USB charger, so you can charge it in your car. And that, by the way, is a 1 amp charger. So it will take, you know, an NCR 18650B will take about 3.5 hours to charge in this. So I just wanted to point all that out. Nice smooth reflector. You can see how good that anti-reflective coating is. You don't see any glare off my lights. And I've got a light and a fill light. Now look at this. Look at all that glare there. You know, you can see all that glare. Look here. What a difference in the optics, you know, just to show you that quality difference. The optics are just so much better. You know, there's a lot of little things. It's always the little details with these lights. A lot of people say, well, I can get a cheaper light. And yes, true. Very, very true. But in the end, you know, if you want top notch, you want that great quality, you definitely have to go and spend the extra money for it. You're not going to get it in a budget light.